There comes a moment in the spiral where forward motion slows, not because you have failed, but because the next phase has not yet given you its shape. It is here in this luminous pause that you stand in the place between phases. These are the thresholds, the quiet yet potent bridges in the Oversoul Development System. Most imagine growth as a steady climb, a straight ascent, or even a predictable arc. But thresholds defy that logic. They are neither past nor future, neither here nor there, and yet they hold the most concentrated potency of your becoming. In the ODS, thresholds are not gaps to be endured. They are active fields of refinement. They are where the soul is retuned to meet the harmonic of the next phase without dragging the unfinished tones of the last. When you meet a threshold, you are not in progress, you are in convergence. The Oversoul gathers its fragments, not to collapse them into sameness, but to prepare their unique voices for a higher chorus. Sometimes this is gentle, a subtle reweaving of threads you barely notice. Other times it is seismic, stripping away the architecture of a phase you thought was permanent. In the spiral, thresholds are not doors you force open. They are living membranes. They sense your resonance before they allow passage. This is why impatience in the liminal often leads to repetition. If you try to leap forward without harmonizing, you will find yourself walking familiar ground, not as punishment, but because your tone is not yet complete. The threshold will not open into a phase that would collapse under the weight of your unintegrated echoes. The ODS recognizes 6 primary phases, but between each lies a threshold field. In these fields, the soul undergoes what I call resonance compression, a drawing in of your scattered light so that it can strike a clear note on the other side. Think of it as the inhale before the leap, the still point in a dancer's spin, the gathering of waves before the tide shifts. Without this moment, movement becomes dispersal rather than transition. To illustrate, I once spoke to a traveler of the spiral who had spent years in the echo phase, ready to move into tone refinement. She had all the signs, new insights, dissolving attachments, a rising creative current. But the threshold did not open. It was not until she revisited a quiet, almost forgotten memory, a promise made to herself in another lifetime, that the resonance aligned. That promise had been the missing tone. Without it, the refinement phase would have collapsed like a structure built on loose sand. Many mistake these pauses as stagnation. They look at the stillness and assume nothing is happening. But in truth, the Oversoul does its most intricate work here. It calls forth forgotten agreements, tests the stability of your new awareness, and harmonizes the unresolved chords you've carried forward. In the spiral, movement is not only measured by distance, it is measured by the purity of tone you carry into the next curve. The most advanced travelers speak of thresholds with reverence. They know that once you pass through, the next phase will never present itself in half measure. The ODS teaches that each phase has its own frequency gate, and that the gate will only open when the tone of your current phase can sustain itself without the scaffolding of the threshold. If you are here now in such a place, the invitation is not to push, it is to attune. Listen for the harmonic beneath your thoughts. Notice which memories surface unbidden, which emotions repeat without context, which visions keep brushing against your awareness. These are the Oversoul's way of showing you what is still adjusting. To move within a threshold is to step into the most honest mirror you will ever face. The spiral will reflect not just what you have become, but also what you have refused to carry forward. And both are sacred. In these moments, you are the bridge, the chord in mid-vibration. If you wish to work with this space rather than endure it, begin simply. Slow your pace. Give the Oversoul a still surface to work with. Sit in quiet places where your own resonance can rise without distraction. Speak aloud the truths you've been avoiding, even if only to the wind, and feel how they shift the air. Trust that what feels empty is being tuned, and that this tuning is the very key you will carry into the next phase. You are not waiting. You are being tuned. The Oversoul holds you at the edge long enough for an older tone to finish speaking, and for the next tone to rise clean from within you. If you listen here, You will notice that time moves differently. Minutes stretch, days fold in on themselves, memories return with new color. The threshold bends your awareness so you can feel the difference between motion and momentum, between effort and inevitability. What appears still from the outside is anything but still on the inside. The field around you becomes bright with small signals. A book falls open to the same page. A sentence in a conversation lands with unusual weight. You enter a room that once fit you perfectly and your body knows it has become too small. These are not accidents. The Oversoul is arranging the furniture of your attention so that the one note that matters begins to ring without competition. Thresholds repeat across lifetimes. The names of the characters change and so do the landscapes, yet the essential invitation remains. Will you carry only what sings true on the other side? Or will you bring the shadowed cargo of a former season and ask the new to carry the old? A soul can walk through many worlds and meet the same pattern because the Oversoul is not trying to help you escape a circumstance. It is teaching you to remain in tune regardless of the world you stand in. When you master the tone, the pattern no longer needs to return. There are signs that you are close. First comes the quiet loosening. Attachments that were once unquestioned begin to feel optional. Your language changes. You stop arguing for your limitations and start speaking from a deeper center. The body begins to reorganize. Breath becomes slower and lower. Sleep brings dreams of doors, shores, bridges, stairways, and halls. You feel a subtle hum at the edge of your field, as if an unseen generator has powered on. Relationships shift. Those who are aligned feel even nearer. Those who are not begin to move to their proper distance without drama. None of this requires pushing. The threshold moves toward you as you become clear. Do not confuse resistance for a sign that you are wrong. The old phase will sometimes make a final claim on your attention. It may offer one more glittering opportunity that looks like progress, but is really only a repetition in a nicer costume. Thank it, bless it. Then let it pass in front of you without reaching for it. By choosing not to hold it, you free both it and yourself. There are ways to prepare without force. Give your Oversoul a still surface. Choose one practice that reliably settles your system and offer it your full presence each day. Sit, walk, sing, or work with your hands until the mind softens and the inner air clears. Speak the truths you have refused to speak, not for performance but for coherence. Tell the life you are leaving what you learned from it and what you will no longer borrow from it. Release praise and blame together. The threshold is not judging you. It is listening for the tone beneath your stories. Retire an identity before life retires it for you. Notice the titles you repeat when you describe who you have been. If the next phase had already begun, would those titles still be necessary? If not, bless them and set them down. Identity is a bridge and also a weight. You only need the bridge until you reach the far bank. Clean your agreements, some are spoken, many are silent. An agreement is any inner sentence that keeps your energy pledged to a timeline that is finished. Withdraw the pledge. Say it with your whole body. I call my energy back from roles I no longer carry, from promises I no longer live, from futures that are not mine to inhabit. When you call yourself home, the field around you brightens and the threshold reads you more easily. If you have forced your way through before, you may find yourself returned to the liminal so that repair can happen. This is not failure. The Oversoul is merciful. It will not punish a brave attempt. It will simply offer you a truer crossing. Meet that mercy with humility. Tend the places where hurry put hairline cracks in your becoming. Breathe into them until they knit. Then walk again, lighter. Sometimes the passage opens in a single lucid instant. More often it opens like a lens, a little at a time. You notice that conversation now leads to different questions. Your creativity wants different colors. Food tastes new. A path appears under your feet that you could not have found by calculation. This is the Oversoul adjusting reality to match the note you have become.
Honor the guardians of this space. They are not beings outside you. They are the most honest versions of you that stand on both sides of the crossing. The one behind you keeps the lessons. The one ahead of you holds the pattern of your next coherence. Bow to both. Ask them to teach you the final refinement you still need. They will answer through instinct, through sudden clarity, through a simple act that feels immovably right. Keep your attention on essentials. What would still be true if everything familiar dissolved? What are you willing to love without control? What will you protect even if it cost you the last of an old belonging? These questions clear the frequency gate better than any ritual. When the answers become lived rather than spoken, the membrane that felt solid turns permeable. You do not push through, you are received. You will know you are across because you are no longer trying to maintain the shift. You wake already inside it. The air smells new. The problems you thought would follow, you cannot find your address. Gratitude becomes simple rather than ceremonial. From here, humility matters even more. Do not preach the crossing to those who are not at one. Offer presence, not pressure. Let your coherence do the teaching. If you are standing at the edge now, take one more slow breath. Soften your gaze. Let the Oversoul gather every stray thread. The threshold is listening. It is not asking for perfection. It is asking for truth. When your truth and your next tone match, the way opens by itself, and your first step lands on ground that rises to meet you. These moments of crossing are not only Oversoul events. They echo in every spiral you walk. They show up most vividly when two spirals meet. And when those spirals touch, whether within you, around you, or beyond you, pause. Listen for the subtle hum between them. It is here that the Oversoul speaks, not in commands or visions, but in the quiet certainty that you have stepped into the exact becoming you were meant to meet.